We stare into the abyss.
Will we be transformed?
Make sense. Ask.
Learn from our experiences.
Prepare for the future.
What future?
The future of us. Does it start from us?
It starts from us.
Think.
Act.
Believe.
Change.
The emerging.
The urgent.
The incoming.
Our time is now.
Our time is now.
Our time is now.
Is it time? We'll start? Okay. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning from wherever you are in the world. This is IFFTI 2021, hosted by Pearl Academy, and our theme for this year-long conference and discussion is Fashioning Resurgence. IFFTI is the International Foundation of Fashion Technology Institutes and comprises of 82 of the best fashion and design colleges from around the world. And Pearl Academy is happy to be host and leading this very important discussion. So much has happened in this last year, and so much has been destroyed. So many innovations have happened. What is the future of our world, and what can we do to fashion a better world? I am sure that each and every one of you want to know how you can participate in making this happen. We won't get all the answers today, but we'll hear from a very, very special person and find inspiration in her words. And each one of us will go back one step closer to making our lives better. Today, we have with us someone who is a UN advocate for sustainable development and a Bollywood star, a strong supporter of humanitarian environmental causes, and has gone ahead to win the Green Globe honor for an extraordinary work by a public figure and the IFA Green Award. Yes, she is none other than the Zara Zara girl, everyone's favorite, Dia Mirza. Hi, Dia.
Hello. Thank you so much
Thank
for having
you for
me.
being with us.
It's an absolute pleasure. This is such an important conversation. I'm so glad we're having it. There's no way that there can be any form of a resurgence without acknowledging the crisis that we're in the middle of. And I hope some of what we talk about today will explore that, and solutions exist, and young people are going to drive that change. And they will do it through innovation and technology and heart. I think what we need more than anything is just the heart to do it all.
Super, Dia. Apart from talking to us today, Dia will also announce the winners of the IFFTI Pearl Instagram challenge, and I'm really looking forward to it. We had more than 400 participants from all over the world. Today, Dia, is also a very special day to have you with us because it's World Recycle Day. And Pearl Academy announces the launch of Studio E, an initiative dedicated to ethical fashion. And if you want to know more about that and see our student work, do follow on Instagram @fashionmatters_Pearl Academy. Okay, on to the discussion. Dia, the nation has witnessed your ascent from a pageant queen to a Bollywood star. You have made us all swoon with your fresh smile and charm. You are a true environmentalist. This has been a fabulous journey. Through this, you clearly possessed a purpose and the power of influence to bring a positive change. And you seem to have left no stone unturned. And the most exciting recent thing that we've been watching you do is get married. It's been really exciting. So we would love to hear, Dia, more about how you managed to have an elaborate event, a special occasion, so effortlessly in a sustainable manner.
Okay, so the first and the most important thing that everyone should know is that it was not elaborate, and it was a very intimate ceremony with our closest family and friends. It was literally done in the garden of the building that I've spent every single morning that I'm home in, watching the birds and walking bare feet in the grass. It's a place that I feel deeply connected to. And I think the last 10 years of work and the amount of consciousness that I have gained through my efforts towards living more sustainably and understanding the cycle of waste and the cycle of consumption and the patterns of waste and what it's doing to our planet obviously made us really think about what it is that we really wanted and how it is that we wanted to conduct this ceremony. So I think one of the first few things that we were very clear about in guiding our event planners was that to ensure that there was absolutely no plastic at the event. So all our water was served in glass bottles, and it did increase expense to water because packaged glass bottles cost more than plastic bottles. But we said, okay, we won't spend on three other things, but it's value to spend on this because we don't want to create waste. Food is also something that gets wasted at weddings very often. It forms a very, very big part of waste. So we ensured that the quantity of food was very, very meticulously planned, and we had absolutely no food wastage on the day. And the third, and I think a critical part of achieving sustainability in a wedding ceremony or an event is to ensure that all your decor, everything that you're using to decorate is sustainable and natural. And there's no use of acrylics or linoleum or any kind of fabric that is made of plastics. So people kind of line, even mandaps these days get lined with plastic sheets, and they're kind of printed with some kind of a design or whatever. So anyway, we opted jute over all forms of plastic. And my garment is something, all our garments actually are forever fashion. They were all clothes that we all know we will wear again and again, will have a lifetime of repeat value, and it would not be limited to just wearing on that one occasion. Now what tends to happen is that most brides in the country and the world wear their wedding outfit just once, and that kind of contributes to a huge carbon footprint. So the idea was to wear a sari that would be a forever sari that I could possibly even pass on to my daughter when and if I have one, and kind of reuse, kind of have the utility of the garment for a lifetime.
Super. And there's one more thing I noticed, Dia, that you and Weber were married by a woman.
Yes.
And I think that's especially interesting also in achieving the sustainable development goals. How did you choose?
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more on that, because when we talk about sustainability, I think gender equality is a very integral part of sustainability. And I had actually seen my best friend, my childhood friend, being married by Shilata, who was our priestess. And I couldn't look away for a moment during that ceremony. I was so enamored and completely in awe of the way she conducted the ceremony, the kind of heart she put into it. It was just beautiful. And we all attend so many weddings in our lifetime, and very rarely do you come away so enchanted and so deeply spiritually moved by a ceremony. So much so that when we were planning our ceremony, I actually called my childhood friend and asked her, I was like, is there any way that Shilata will be willing to marry me? And she said, let me check with her. She's very shy. So I said, please, please do. And she was very generous and kind, and she agreed. And what that did for, I think when we make choices like that, we do them more. All my choices are made more from the heart. But now that in retrospect, when I look back, I realize that that one choice addressed gender parity in religion, in the through the caste system, through so many things. And it's a role or a job that is often only perceived to be played by a man. And what really excited me was to see how many more couples wanted to do the same. And then there were these wonderful newspaper reports on how many more couples were opting for this. And they were more like the number of female priestesses is increasing in the country, which is very heartening to see. So I'm glad that I could use my public space to open conversation for something that is so important, and like you said, so relevant to achieving our sustainable development goals.
Absolutely. I think what I loved that you did that, and I wanted to reaffirm to everybody that's listening is that to become a better world and a more sustainable world, it's not only about reusing clothes. It's about looking at all aspects of it, about labor, about gender, about migration, about use, waste, etc. So thank you for that. And anything you do, I'm sure a lot of people will follow. So taking from that, Dia, um, of course, we're super proud to have you as an advocate, a UN advocate for sustainability. How did that happen? I mean, how did you get selected, and what have you done with that space to make it worthwhile for you?
Well, being a Goodwill ambassador is an honor and it's a privilege. It really has widened my horizons. It's really widened my depth of knowledge because I have access to the science, and also access to the best innovation, the leading organizations, just everything that's good that's happening in the world comes to us first. But that also means that we are exposed to the worst of the worst. So we kind of are always in sync with all the hell that's breaking loose around us and all that's going wrong. And I think it's a job that requires you to find the balance and understand all the good and the meritorious work that is happening and continually advocate for it. But you can only be a good advocate if you really understand the subject well and are able to implement the changes that are necessary in your own life. So I think the reason why I was appointed by the UN for this job was maybe because I had spent so many years already in amplifying the need to protect and conserve our forests, our wildlife. I'd already been a part of many big critical campaigns, and I'd started to use this awareness and understanding on the need for protecting our wild spaces into a lot of the content and the programming that I was doing. So I did a show called Ganga, the Soul of India, that was supposed to be a travel show that started from the source of the river all the way to sea. And it was my personal passion and my understanding of how much at risk the river was and how it kind of fed over 4 million people. And the fact that it's also the second most polluted river in the world. I wanted very much to use this journey to highlight the environmental impact and the connection between environment, culture, religion, society, food. And we successfully managed to do that. So I think it was roughly about that time that I realized that here is a purpose that I have found, that I'm able to integrate effortlessly into the performer in me, the advocate in me, the communicator in me. So um, I think that was a big contributor to the UN determining that, they wanted me on board. And in the last 5 years, I've grown as a human being. I think because I've had access to so much knowledge and the best minds in the world. I've been deeply inspired by a lot of their work, but I'm also deeply concerned about where we're headed. And it can be really really tough on some days to deal with the statistics and the data and know the truth behind many things that don't appear to be as ugly as they are, and kind of go out there and brave that reality, knowing full well that this is something that should stop, but it isn't.
Wow. Yeah, I think yes. I mean that there must be so much of information that you get, and then having to filter that and use that in the industry and in everything that you do in your life. So Bollywood, for us anyway, Bollywood has such a great influence on on our lives. Has there been any change in the way our film industry is working? Are people becoming more aware about a sustainable way of functioning, representing issues through cinema over the last few years?
I definitely see a big change. When I started out, I felt alien. I was almost on my own. I had some senior veterans to kind of who supported the work that we were doing, in the form of Om Puri, Nasiruddin Shah Saab, Shabana Azmi. But the voices are few and far between, and the younger generation was not really, and I mean, not even, but even my contemporaries and many of my seniors never ever lent their strength on issues that focused on the environment. And that really baffled me because practically everything that we need to survive is connected with the environment. So, when in the last 5 years, I have witnessed a significant shift in attitudes and the work. So maybe it's my personal madness also that has driven some people to make better choices. For instance, more production companies are making single use plastic free films, single use plastic free ads. So they're working on set without any kind of plastic consumption. They're all hiring sustainability partners to ensure that their waste is managed well, the impact is, the carbon emissions of their shoot is reduced significantly. We see a lot many more young stars now being spotted outside their gyms or going in the airport spotting with their own metal bottles or their traveling bottles, which is great.
Yeah.
And and I see that many young actors now are also becoming very strong advocates for climate and wildlife and animal rights protection. And it's very, very strengthening to see that, people like Alia Bhatt, Bhumi Pednekar. I actually think of more girls when I talk about this, Shraddha Kapoor. The boys have some catching up to do, but it's much better now than it was 10, 15 years ago.
Yes, dear. I think even I'm trying to bring the boys in also, because if you look at independent cinema, no, I'm not talking just in terms of climate, but there are a lot of issues that are being brought to the front. A lot of issues that impact and that will impact sustainable
When
development
you
goals.
yeah,
So
when you talk about that, then I think of people like Ayushman Khurrana, Tapsi Pannu, who are actually backing stories and
yes.
cinema that takes very important social narratives forward. Yeah.
Yes, I think that's great too. So just like your industry, our industry, the fashion industry, includes a lot of factories, craftspeople, supply chain from all around the world. We've heard of the weavers struggling, suicides, etc. Do you think it's important to support our Indian craftspeople? And what do you suggest for those of us who want to take that ahead?
Oh, absolutely. I think when we talk of sustainability, we cannot exclude the inheritance, the rich inheritance that we have of local craftsmanship across the country. I think when we talk about long lasting garments, we talk about forever garments, um, you cannot dismiss the extraordinary effort and work of our craftsmanship and the range and the variety of our craftsmanship. And I think it's very encouraging that so many more designers today and even corporate entities are backing the like a support system for our craftsmen, whether it's our weavers or our embroiderers across the country. And when we talk about sustainability, I think buying and wearing local is a very key ingredient of that. And when we talk about forever fashion, that again, I think India is capable of offering more timeless classics to every form of garment than perhaps any other country in the world.
Yeah, I was excited to see you on the cover page of the anniversary edition of Cosmopolitan, where you are wearing Doodlage. Doodlage is actually a brand of one of our alumni, Kuki Tula, and she does an
That's
amazing job. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. They recycle old Banarasi saris and give it a new interpretation, and it's fantastic. I think the circular economy, like so, we recently about 3 or 4 years ago we launched the Circular Design Challenge at the
Yes.
Lakme Fashion Week, and it's phenomenal the kind of participation we are seeing from young fashion design talent from across the country, and their understanding of how. Whether it is the waste that they see and they want to do something about it, or just recognizing the fact that making a pair of denims cost like uses almost 8,000 to 10,000 liters of water, and almost every single denim factory has a significant quantity of denim wasted, and how can all of that be used? So a lot of the wasted material in and from the fashion industry is now being reused, repurposed, and designed by and brought into the circular economy by young designers. It's fantastic to see.
Yes, I think that's lovely. And it's not only about wearing something which is part of the circular economy, but I think it's also important that one has style and that there is that fashion continues. And you have a fashion statement that translates, I think, into clean, minimal, organic, fresh, and so you are actually influencing a lot of people to go in that direction. Have you seen that in any way? Do you feel that what you do actually impacts young people, what they wear and what they see as trendy?
I suppose so. I mean, to some extent, I'm not so conscious about that. I wear what I enjoy wearing and I feel comfortable about. And of course, I'm very conscious about the designers I choose to wear, because I care about sustainability. And now more than ever before, I think it's really up to us consumers who have to make better choices, and of course even the people that manufacture and produce garments who have to make better choices. So yeah, there are lots of young actors who keep telling me, I love the way you dress, I dress like you, or I'm inspired by your way of dressing. So that's really sweet. I think if I can make less is more aspirational, and I can help more people recognize the strength and the beauty and the longevity and the greatness of Indian design, and craftsmanship, whether it's our various forms of embroidery or just the kind of different fabrics we can make and weave. Um, yeah, I feel like I would have achieved something.
Superb. So I have seen that you increasingly are, I don't putting youngsters at the center, of the sustainability narrative. I think that's really important. And many young people would look at you and say, "Oh, but she's Dia Mirza, and so Dia Mirza can have an influence." So, do you have any ways, or do you have any advice or suggestions to young people who are not Bollywood stars or UN Goodwill ambassadors as to how they can make small shifts in their lives towards having a better future?
Well, I think the most important thing for all of us, young or old or whatever our age may be, is to recognize the fact that we are confronted by an existential crisis. Our survival as human beings now is going to be dependent on how we continue to live. And that includes our patterns of production, our patterns of consumption, our patterns of waste, and that includes the food we eat, the clothes we wear, the technology we get, bring home, the cars we use, vehicles, just everything that we need or we require in our everyday lives. And everything that we do has to stem from that awareness and knowledge that human beings have been very exploitative. We have misused our natural resources. We've we've contributed to an increase in temperature and the climate that is going to make the planet uninhabitable if we continue at the rate that we are. So the only way we can reverse the devastation and destruction that we have caused as human beings is by making better choices. And I really believe in the power of our survival instinct. I think it's a formidable force which will ensure that we will continually innovate, adapt, and learn. But the most critical part of this is to learn and accept and acknowledge that the way we have lived so far has been totally wrong. A consumerist approach, a wasteful approach, a materialistic approach to life is not healthy at all. Not healthy for us as people and not healthy for the planet. So, um, we can make switches in our everyday lives in the most simple forms. It doesn't even have to be big things like I follow a mostly plant-based diet. I refuse all single-use plastics. I've replaced all plastics that are avoidable at home with more sustainable materials. For example, my toothbrush is bamboo. My sanitary napkins are 100% biodegradable. Um, we've installed water check meters in our building to ensure there is no overflow or leakage of water. Same for all the taps at home. All means of all electronics are turned off when they're not in use. So there's no wasteful consumption of electricity or power. We segregate waste at home. We compost all our kitchen waste. We don't allow our baths to last more than 5 minutes, or one song, the length of a song. If you're a good bathroom singer, you can sing and time your shower that way. But these are things that I feel all of us can do, and it would make a very big difference. Then, when this consciousness and understanding widens and deepens, you can extend it to what fabric am I wearing? How has it been colored? What is the dye that has been used? What am I cleaning? What are the ingredients used in my cleaning agents at home? Can I switch to more earth friendly agents? So there are so many things that you can just keep adding to the list as you go along. But I think this is a good thing to start with, the first five that I mentioned.
Super, Dia. I think that's something that we all have to take note of. Were you always like this, or did I mean has your consciousness grown with information, with becoming a UN Goodwill ambassador, etc.?
My consciousness has definitely grown with the exposure that I've got with the work that I do. But I have to say that I think we're all inherently empathetic by nature. I remember as a child when I was in school, we the alarm bells for climate change had started to ring. You know, we were already being taught about what was happening and how our consumerist lives, especially this, how capitalism had kind of shifted consumption patterns and how it was causing so much devastation and destruction. My principal really cared about Gandhian values and also was an ardent admirer of J. Krishnamurti. So our school was like we spent most of our time outdoors, learning under big trees, interacting with nature, working with soil and the earth, growing fruits, vegetables, learning how to compost. So there's so much that, yes, one can gain from your childhood, your foundation, your early education. But it was not until I started working in film and working with many NGOs and realizing that, whether it was the rise in the number of cancer patients, or the fact that so many more young people were getting sick or were being born with all kinds of acute ailments, and the connection of all of this with the environment and the degrading health of the environment. And that's actually what got me started in this space. I was like, why aren't people talking more about the connection between environment and health? Why are more people not focusing on the health of the planet? It's a matter of our own survival.
Yeah. When I was in school, like you're talking about when you were in school, when I was in school was, now you'll know I'm very old, was when plastic came in, and we thought it was the most magical thing because you could get it in so many colors, it can be in whatever shape you wanted, it solved so many problems, and then I guess we just didn't know how to stop.
Yeah. Yeah. And we didn't account for the quantum of plastic we would create, and the quantum of waste that would lead to, and what that waste would do.
Yeah.
Because if it's a material that lives forever, it means it's going to go nowhere. And it's shocking that we didn't account for how much of it we were making.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have a lot of questions from the audience, but I'm just going to take some
Sure.
so that they can also hear right from you. So Arohi has asked an interesting question that today is a world of abundance and everybody wants more and more. How can we explain to common people about reuse, repair, and recycle?
Arohi, honestly, the common man, the lower middle class, the working, the person from the village, the agriculturalist, the real common man is not wasteful in their consumption. They are repurposing, they are recycling, they are repairing and reusing much more than the growing middle class is. It's
Okay, yeah.
unfortunately those who have that tend to be more wasteful than those who have not. And unfortunately, it's always those who have not who bear the consequences of our wasteful lifestyles. So we need to really get through to people like you and me, Arohi, who have access to, the internet, through social media. There's a very powerful campaign called Count Us In that helps, that gives
Please comment
people
again. Can you tell
count
us?
us count us in. It's
Okay,
on
just
Instagram.
count us in. Yes, yes.
Yeah, there are 16 action points there that everyone can adopt, and they're so easy to do. There are now apps available that kind of calculate your carbon footprint at an individual level. There's so many more people now who are going back to basics and kind of uh, taking inspiration and reintroducing Indian traditions that are more sustainable. And that is just so wonderful, because I feel like, when we talk about sustainability, it has to be localized as much as possible, because that's when it becomes implementable by all. People need to respond. Like, I remember things that my dadi did that I'm sure many young people would remember doing. Like, for example, she would never use a tea bag. She would only use tea leaves. And after the tea leaves had been used, matlab the chai had been cooked, she would use the waste of the tea leaves to put in her rose plants,
Yeah.
because it helped them grow better. There are little things like that that now people have started sharing, which is fantastic. So, but I think the change comes with just a mindset switch. You just have to understand that your actions count, and every choice we make at an individual level makes a big difference.
Super. Dear, here's a question from Sabali, and she says that how can we know about and make fashion harmless to wildlife? and humans. I guess I never, like wildlife is also something that's important and gets impacted by maybe the wasteful nature of fashion. Anything on that?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's a deep connection there. And I'm so proud that somebody has made that connection. Um, so there are lots of indigenous communities that contribute to art forms, right? To have kind of craftsmanship that we can tap into and use and help uplift them. Because when we uplift the lives of indigenous tribes, then you basically make them a stronger force to support the protection and conservation of the forest. So they need to go into the forest to use things from the forest for their survival will reduce. Um, there are lots of fashion brands now in the country. Lots, I think, would be an exaggeration, but some fashion houses that are, of course, making more sensible choices with regard the kind of garments they're making. So, like I said, they're using chemical free dyes, they're using less water, they're using innovation and technology. So, using bamboo pulp to make fabric. So, there's a lot of repurposing that's happening with waste material to kind of create very rich, organic, natural materials that are made out of waste, natural waste. And alongside that, what they're also doing is kind of tying up with NGOs to grow more trees, to strengthen the work that is happening for forests and the forest, for forest rangers. So different people are kind of associating and aligning themselves with different things that involve protection. And so it's a three-pronged approach. One is one is in the way you design. So what are the components of your design? Fabric, water, what are you using? What is the source of your energy at your factory? Are you using solar? There are different things that contribute to that as well. The second is, of course, the packaging of your design. And the third is, what is the organization you can align with? Who are the communities that you can support? How can you integrate the community into the work that you do or the designs that you're creating? Are some of the things that many more people can do.
Super. Yeah, I love that, Dia, because what you're saying is being sustainable is not just about reusing, recycling, wasting less, repairing. One can really take fashion and make it something that is a movement. You can uplift people, help wildlife, help communities that are more downtrodden, be more inclusive. So one can actually make a very positive change if you're conscious about it. I love that. Thank you for that. Here's another question from Kiarzat. And the question is that, what are the changes you experienced in your life during the pandemic? And what of those are you going to take ahead when things get better?
I just recognize the value in that statement so much. Less is more.
Okay.
There'll be days I kind of look around myself and look at all these things that I've acquired over my lifetime and how little utility they actually have, and how it's just so much more about, I don't know, ego. I don't know. I don't mean to sound spiritual, but it's true. And the one decision that I definitely made during the lockdown was that I was not going to buy unless I absolutely needed something. And I would try and kind of extend the lifespan of everything that I own and possess as much as possible. So less is more has become my mantra. And yes, I think I just hope, I really, really hope that the work that I did through the lockdown and I will continue to do now will help more people recognize that our health is directly connected with the environment and the health of the planet and the balance of that ecological system that supports all life. And that all of us are contributors to achieving that balance and regaining that balance.
So I think that leads quite well into a question from Aditi, who says that So what about trends? What about us who want to follow trends? And I'm going to add to that also, Dia, that can we make sustainability a trend?
Hasn't it already become a trend? I think so. I think it has become a trend, and I'm glad for it because we have to make sustainability accessible, fashionable, cool, trendy, and everything else that it needs to be to pick up the momentum that is required for it to genuinely become a movement of sustainability. We cannot we ill afford the fact that there are just some niche designers here and there doing this, replacing the plastic button with a wooden button or a cork waste button, or down to even kind of designing the tags of their garments in a way that has no plastic in it. That level of conscientiousness, that level of care for the planet, for the earth, and for human health and progress has to start extending itself to every person in the business. Because I think it's important for us to never forget that the fashion industry is a bigger contributor to carbon emissions than even the shipping and the airline industry.
So Dia,
That's a big problem, big problem.
so when you look at this, do you think, the way I see it, a lot of fashion designers who are actually setting the trends and leading fashion have become very conscious.
They're becoming more conscious than they were before. I also think that a lot of conscious designers have gained a lot of popularity.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy that I may have played some part in making some people more well known than perhaps they would have become if it hadn't been for me and many of my colleagues for celebrating their work and their art.
Okay, super. So what we're going to do now, because I'm conscious of the time, is that we're going to go into announcing the winners of the IFFTI 2021 Pearl Academy Instagram challenge. And we're going to ask you to announce them and you to sign the certificates. You have the certificates, so maybe if you've signed them.
I have the certificates. I've actually signed them.
Okay,
I
so
will wait for, so these here they are.
okay, so don't show the name, or you're showing it without
No,
the name.
no, the name has not been put in yet. The
Oh,
name
okay.
we'll add later. But
All
I have
right.
a list with me, so I'm excited
Super.
about this list.
Okay, lovely. So congratulations to everybody who took part in the Instagram challenge. The Instagram challenge by Pearl Academy and IFFTI 2021 was really about how you can research or how you can find a new way to create fashion consciously. Maybe using repair, using heritage, using Indian crafts, or thinking of new ideas as to how we can refashion or fashion a better world. And I'm going to announce the winners. And the first winner is the Celebrity Choice Award. And this person has won 2 passes for the India Fashion Week, 10,000 rupees, and a certificate from Pearl Academy, which is signed by Dia Mirza. So Dia, the Celebrity Choice Award goes to?
The Celebrity Choice Award goes to Prabjot Kaur.
Super.
And
Congratulations.
_ Prabjot_.
Lovely. Congratulations, Prabjot. The next winner, which is the Influencer Choice Award, is 2 passes for the India Fashion Week, 10,000 rupees, and a certificate signed by Dia Mirza. And the winner for the Influencer Choice Award is
Priyanshi Jaiswal. Congratulations, Priyanshi. This is so wonderful.
Congratulations. Well done. Super. The next certificate or the next award is the winner of the School of Fashion, the Pearl Academy School of Fashion Jury Award. This is 20,000 rupees, a Who's Next scholarship to Pearl Academy, and 2 passes for the India Fashion Week. And Dia, the winner of the School of Fashion Jury Award is
Muhammad Akash Yunus. Congratulations.
Lovely. Thank you so much. And the first runner-up of the Pearl Academy School of Fashion Jewelry Award gets 15,000 rupees and 2 passes to the India Fashion Week. And the winner is,
Sukhada Ashok Ankalwar.
wow, congratulations.
Congratulations.
And the second runner-up of the Pearl Academy School of Fashion Jewelry Award gets 10,000 rupees and 2 passes for the India Fashion Week. And the winner is,
Gunda Pavani Shrivalli.
and what a nice Instagram account she has.
Yeah, art_and_fashion03. I'm going to be checking out all these Instagram handles, by the way, just saying.
Wow. Okay, super. Thank you so much for that. And congratulations to all the winners. You have won out of the 400 plus entries that have qualified into this Instagram challenge. And keep that spirit up. Keep thinking about new ways of doing things. Remember, as Dia said, it's not just about making what you have last longer. It's also about doing good and enhancing and impacting more people in a positive way through that. Okay, super. Dia, I'm going to go back to you. How long does a UN Goodwill ambassador be a UN Goodwill ambassador? And what do you plan to do next with this important position that you have?
I have no idea. I mean, it's been 5 years and they've renewed my contract every 3 years. So I guess they'll have me as long as I'm willing to serve. And I'd be happy to serve over a lifetime because this is my life's work. This is what I care about. This is what I do. And what is next? Just to keep gathering the momentum on sustainability, to keep kind of coercing, using every skill that one has, whether it's charm and love, and sometimes perhaps even like aggression wherever it's necessary, to get more people to understand that change is imperative. And we need to do a lot more work to strengthen our policies, to bring about new mind and kind of behavioral changes in civil society. But I think the people who really need to change are the industries, and they really need to make themselves more responsible for the impact they have on the environment. So yeah, the effort will be to continue to drive change.
Yeah. So Dia, you have access to information from around the world. And yes, we know that we need to change our consumption patterns, the industry, what we care about. Can you tell us, have these changes happened everywhere else in the world? Are people struggling like us? Or is there something we can learn from somewhere else in the world?
You know, every year the UN has something called the Champions of the Earth Awards, and then there's something called the Young Champs, where people under the age of 21 or 25 are awarded Champions of Earth award. And the last 3 years, there have been individuals from India that have won awards, where they've come up with sustainability solutions, basically innovative technology. So the one that won a few years ago, Arpit Dhupar, was from Delhi IIT, and he basically came up with a machine that would trap the pollution in the air and make ink out of it, because it's carbon, right? So it gets converted into carbon, and that carbon was converted into ink that was then used to print t-shirts and all kinds of things. Now I'm hearing about people who are doing that to make tiles, to make all kinds of things. This year, another young person was awarded the Champion of Earth, where he won for, again, you know, the stubble that is that is created by the farmers, that is usually burnt by farmers. So he's basically created technology that can convert the stubble into energy that the farmers can use for their work. So again, I think what I'm trying to basically highlight is the fact that there are big problems that exist that impact all of our lives, but the solutions are arriving, and young people are driving these solutions, and change is coming. It's here. And we just need to now find ways to mainstream these changes and get, like, for example, I told you I use a biodegradable sanitary napkin. It makes you wonder why the large conglomerates that make sanitary napkins not adopt this technology. So you and I have to kind of coerce these big scale companies and say, it's time you chose better. It's time that you opted for technology and innovation that exists that is better for the planet.
Oh, Um, sometimes people take sustainability as something that is very Spartan, and you have to have less and less, and you can't enjoy, and it's like very difficult and sad life, which I don't agree with. And I'd love if you, Dia, would give some examples of what you may do for fun or to splurge or a luxury, something that is exciting and happy and sustainable.
Well, I think the idea is not to see, the thing is that we can't live as ascetics, right? We're not going to move to the mountains and live in a cave. We are, at the end of the day, urban dwellers. We are used to a certain lifestyle. So I think what all of us need to do is to find that healthy balance and bring that consciousness into as many aspects of our life as possible. Having said that, I think there's enough ways to have fun. I've kind of replaced material things with experiences. So my idea of having fun is to go on an adventure, to discover a new place, a new culture, art, music, theater, cinema. I mean, it could be anything that is experiential. So I go with, like, one of those 100 things on my bucket list to do, which is more experiential than material.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And even I think that people are seeing that, even designers are seeing that. And
Yeah, so I wanted to just complete that thought. I feel like I've started kind of assigning that value to even the garments that I wear or the things that I choose, because I want to know what's the human story behind this thing. Is it a powerful human story? Is it one that inspires me, that enriches my life, that makes me feel like, wow, this is something I have to own and possess?
yes, absolutely. That it just echoes what I was saying, because really everybody, including the fashion designers and including all kinds of designers, have understood the importance of the experience of using the product, and that's where storytelling comes to be so important, like you said. Okay, I think we're nearly running out of time. So maybe Dia, over to you. What is the message that you'd like to tell young people, because you are Dia Mirza and you are the UN Goodwill Ambassador, and apart from everybody else, now I'm a big fan of yours after listening to you for this amount of time. So what is it that you'd like to tell all of us to take away and take back into our lives when we go home?
Well, I want you to respond to everything that you do in your life from a place of love and heart and empathy. I think it's so important for all of us to recognize the impact that we have on our planet and the lives of other people. And whatever we choose to do, whether it's the work we do or the way we consume, if you can just bring that mindfulness, that thoughtfulness, that love to every aspect of our life, I think we could make a big difference, really big difference.
Super. Thank you. And I hope everybody has heard that well and proper. Or a lot of the things that you talked about, or that Dia has talked about, whether it's empathy, love, care, consciousness, these are all parts of what a designer in the design process actually goes through, because any product or experience that has to be made consciously, taking into consideration not just raw materials, the industry, or the environment, and also livelihood of people. So how I think everyone must go back thinking and knowing that each of us has to be conscious in how we live and how we take our lives ahead. So I'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of Pearl Academy and IFTI 2021. Dia, IFTI is the International Foundation of Fashion Technology Institutes. We have a conference every year, and this year, because of the pandemic, we've taken the opportunity to have a year-long conference so that we can have people from all around the world participate in many different ways. And for those of you who want to know more about what the upcoming events are, go again to @Pearl Academy or @Fashion Matters _ Pearl Academy. Today was our keynote for this part of IFTI, and it's been really special. I have learned a lot. I am inspired, and Dia, I'm sure that everybody listening to you here is inspired. We will have this talk available on the IFTI 2021 website for those people who couldn't hear it or who are in different time zones. We had some requests from the US about the timing of this, so it's going to be available on the IFTI 2021 website. Thank you everybody for coming in, and a very, very, very special thank you, Dia, for your care, your compassion, your leadership. And I'm sure that having you as our Goodwill ambassador, UN Goodwill ambassador, we're going to make changes and good things are going to happen. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much. And keep these conversations going. The world needs them. Thank you.